Hey Taurus, welcome to your reading. I'm Empress Rose. These are general readings, so we're going to take what works, leave what doesn't, as with everything. And if I don't catch your wavelength during this reading, check your other major placements. Major placements are Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. We're starting off with the Oracle, my Oracle decks, Moonology and Work Your Light. And the deck just offered us some stuff, so I have been pulling the cards to limit them, but that's a good amount, so I'll take it. And then we're going to move on to a more traditional tarot spread. I'm using the Muse tarot this week. I haven't used that before on this channel, so it's got some challenges. It changes the names of everything, which is just this like additional what are we talking about? So we'll see. All right, so we have, ooh, yeah, babe. Taurus, you are good enough. And things are good enough. Like, this is a non-perfectionist and also dissing on yourself card, right? You are good enough. You are good enough. That's really funny because I'm suddenly feeling, something different. It's like, a sense of, okay, so you might be feeling like you need to push yourself, or you need to, come on, you can do it. You can do it, Taurus. You know, you might be feeling like a need to push yourself. And this card is here saying that it's okay. Don't push. Don't push. Don't strain yourself trying to live the life you want to live, trying to get there perfectly, or trying to perfect yourself or perfect something. No strain is gain, right? You can get there, you can grow, you can develop as a person without pushing, without trying to show it, without trying to prove something, without pushing yourself beyond your energy levels, your current energy levels. There's almost a bit of dishonesty with pushing, because it's saying, I don't really feel like doing this, but I have to. I don't really feel this way, but I'm going to pretend that I do. I don't really. So there's a subtle dishonesty with trying to push yourself, not being disciplined, or not, there's times and places. But right, for this week, for this reading, I'm getting like, don't push it. Don't push. Just allow yourself to be enough as you are. To feel what you feel right now. Don't try to force yourself to feel something. Don't try to force yourself to have more energy than you do. Don't try to force yourself to come across as perfect. Just, you're good enough. Just quiet. You can just mellow. It's okay to be mellow. Conclusions are within reach. Full moon and eclipse. This is something closing off behind you. Some sort of experience or relationship or vibe or something closing off behind you. This is one of those really necessary movements forward. I consider it like our vascular system. Your blood pumps through, and then in order to keep it from flowing and pooling in your feet, we have a little valve here that closes. So we're talking about some sort of valve to your past closing, so that everything doesn't just pool at your feet, right? It's part of life. It's a very important function of life, is that closure. That closure coming in and closing something off from the past. It sounds scary, but it sounds scary, but when this is why pushing is so important. Not pushing is so important, because it sounds scary until you're ready for it. And then it feels really good, and it feels right. And you're exactly where you need to be. And it feels very good. So if you're trying to force a conclusion, don't force a conclusion. If you're trying to force closure, don't force closure. If you're scared of closure, if you're having feelings about closure, just when it's time, when you're ready, it'll close naturally and it'll feel good. It'll feel good. It won't be it could be a big scary thing, but what I'm reading with these two cards here is you're going to have some closure that's going to feel natural. Don't push the closure. Don't strain for the closure. But when it comes, it's going to roll in nice and easy. Nice and easy. Share your voice coming out of the cave, persecution expressing something. So you need to, obviously you need to talk about something. You need to, don't push it, obviously, but you need to talk about something. You need to share about something. You need to you want to. There's something that you're wanting to express or something you're wanting to talk about. If you're not ready to share it, that's fine, but consider sharing it. Consider sharing this thing. Consider talking about something. You've hidden something away and it's time to bring it back out. But we're not, I love that this all started with you're good enough, because this message could come in really harsh if we were talking about closure. Talk about it. Get out of the cave and close this. I mean, it could be something that you're pushing and forcing, and this is very clearly, we're not forcing this, but if you have an opportunity, come out of your cave and come out into public eye a little bit, or maybe express something a little bit, go for it if it feels good. But don't push yourself. If you have opportunity for closure, go for it, but don't push it. Don't push it. We're not being hard on ourselves. There's a time and a place for that, and this is not the time and the place for that. I mean, not being hard on ourselves, but we're not pushing ourselves. We're not pushing beyond our limits. We're not forcing ourselves to be something we're not, okay? Priestess, how are you being called to step up and lead? Okay, so I love that you are good enough. Well, this all could be like you're good enough to be the leader here. You're good enough. Maybe it's even like closure of something, a sense of inadequacy, or I think at one point we were talking about Taurus, you guys, and an imposter syndrome. So it could be that's closing off, that sense that you're not good enough, that sense that you can't be the leader, the sense that you have to shut up and stay in your cave. We could be closing that off, right? But also this good enough, I feel like, is also you don't have to push it because you are good enough to be the leader. So you don't have to step out right today and prove it, right? We're not proving anything. We're just letting something die a natural death, end very naturally. I mean, that valve closing, that's just a natural part of our bodies, and it does it without us even thinking or even knowing about it. So expressing yourself, and also you can take some leadership. So you can start the conversation. If there's a conversation that needs to be had, feel free to start it. So you might be being called into leadership, and you are good enough to lead. You are strong enough to lead. You are skilled enough to lead in this situation. I mean, we're not all skilled enough to lead in every situation in life, of course, because we all have to specialize and have different skills. But if there's some way, and you need to express yourself, I mean, expressing yourself, it can be a sense of leadership. So if you do need closure, find an opening for conversation, find an opening, and take the lead here for whatever closure you need. But again, you don't have to push it. You're good enough. You're good enough to lead. You're what you have to say is good enough. And yeah, so I feel this need for you to not push. You might be wanting to, but you don't need to. It'll feel natural. It'll feel good. Let it feel right. But yeah, leadership. You can lead. You've got it. You've got the goods to lead. Expressing yourself. And maybe letting something go. Closing some chapter out. All right. We're moving to the Muse Tarot, which I haven't worked with before on this channel. I bought it months and months ago, and I hated it. I was like, I'm sure you've seen this before if you watch YouTube readers much. You've seen it before. So, so I thought it was beautiful, but it didn't speak to me. And then this week, all of a sudden, it was like, pick me. And I did, and I got some really great readings. So now I'm hooked. But there are some difficulties with the name changing and and some of the pictures don't trigger my memory of what this card's about. So I'll do those with a more intuitive vibe rather than go research it. So, all right, Taurus, this is your past, your present, your inner landscape, what's at issue, your environment, your to-do list, and your possible outcome. Fascinating. All right. One thing I really love about this deck is the use of roses. Lots and lots of roses, of course. So, in your recent past, you have 2 of inspiration. So there's some sort of, you're seeing something. This is inspiration. This is vision. This is intuition. You've seen something and you've kind of got to plan for it. There's a sense of there is a sense of vision, but it is off in the distance, and it's going to take some work, some planning. There's like an opening here where you see this. There's a lot of like, I see, you know, it's very grid-like, and I usually think of this as my like, inspiration needs a spreadsheet. So I feel like here's the spreadsheet here, and then here's this inspiration. It's just a little part of it right now, and there's a lot of like figuring out, a lot of logical thought, a lot of planning and linear. There's a lot of linear thinking that needs to happen, that has been happening in your past. A lot of scheduling, figuring things out. But in the midst of all that, there is a vision, there is an idea, and there is some sort of inspiration that's come in and is inspiring all of this, like planning and thinking. But it is trying to understand something, trying to get a more logical grasp on where you think you're going, trying to learn the nuts and bolts of a situation that you know you want to go there, but you know you don't know a lot about it. So you're trying to plan it out. You're not yet at a place where you have the expertise to just kind of flow. It's a place of more like gaining that expertise, thinking things through, figuring things out. How is this going to work? What needs to go where? What do I need? All of that stuff. So there is some sort of inspiration here, but there's a lot of like planning that's needing to go into it. That's been in the past. A lot of logical thinking things through, planning things. In your current situation, you're dealing with 2 of materials. So you're having to juggle a lot of things. There's a lot up in the air. It might be a little bit strainful. Like you might be a little strained in achieving balance here with everything that's going on with the things in your world that are going on. There is a sense of a wobbly balance here, trying to stay centered while there's a lot going on. You know, she's in the tree pose here, which can be difficult. She's, not looking at anything. She's not able to ground herself very easily here. So there is like an ungrounded sense of, which is interesting because our materials are earth. I have a hair on my chin. The materials are earth, right? So it's very grounded. So the 2s are about figuring out where we're at and coming to an understanding. So we have inspiration and intuition here, but we have our 2. We're at the 2 here. So this is we're not fully into the mode of inspiration and intuition and creativity because we're having to still deal with. We're having to deal with a lot of planning and a lot of real world stuff. And I love it because now we go into 2 of materials, which is real world stuff, but we're not grounded in it yet. We're just beginning to understand how to. So it's really interesting to me, this shift between, in your past, you've had to do a lot of planning for something creative and inspiring. And this is feeling very unbalanced in what is typically a balanced suit, which is typically a balanced suit of materials, right? So that's supposed to be grounded, but we're in a place of not grounded because both of these are trying to understand something, trying to wrap our head around something. So there's something in your physical world that's not grounded, some sort of projects, work-life balance that's not feeling very grounded right now, and you're trying to get there, but it's a bit of a juggle and it's a bit of a difficult juggling act. In your inner landscape, we have Queen of Inspiration. I love it. This is the Queen of the Queens. Like we've got solar plexus here. The queens are dealing with our internal work, and she's the Queen of Inspiration. So it's dealing with, we have 2 of inspiration, and then you're hoping, I think, your hope is to become this Queen of Inspiration, this creative force, this intuitive, creative force that's able to bring things into reality easily. She's got a little bit of a magic vibe to her. She's very connected to the universe, to the secrets of the universe. There's a lot that's untamed within her. Oh, this reminds me of the Nietzsche quote, "One must still have chaos in one's soul in order to give birth to a dancing star." So the Queen of Inspiration is able to maintain that creative chaos in her heart, in her soul, that sort of star nursery where the particles are all colliding and recreating new things. So she's able to withstand a lot of internal intuition and lack of clarity and lack of understanding. She's able to withstand all of that because she is the queen. So the queens are very internally focused. We're talking about creation, and inspiration and all of that. So that's, I think, where you're hoping to be. You want to be this sort of goddess of internal expression and inspiration and creativity. That's where you'd like to go. Maybe even connecting with a little of the occult, of the unknown. She's very connected to the unknowable and the unknown, and she's comfortable with that. She's comfortable with that, with the darkness of the creative process. And with all that is wild and unsettled within her. There's a strong sense of comfort there. So that's, I think, the energy you'd like to possess and be in, and or it could be an actual person that you're hoping to connect with, to meet with, but also, you know, in hoping to meet with that person, I think that there's a sense of you wanting to have that, what they have that connection, have that creative connection too. So what's at issue here is temperance. You may be feeling a little impatient. There's some extreme intense energies here, and that's really because we're two of inspiration and this two of pentacles here, or two of materials here. This would be trying to bring those things together, trying to mesh some inspiration and some logic, trying to mesh two parts of your life, trying to bring these together, and it's just really not. These parts of yourself or your life are just not coming together in a really pleasant, palatable way. So there could be some digging of heels going on here if this is a situation, or just like some extreme feelings, some intense feelings that aren't mellowing out. There's a sense of impatience of when am I going to get there? I need this all to work out right now. Again, we're talking about pushing yourself and all of that. And so this temperance it could be coming from within. It could be coming from the situation that you're in where there's a sense of impatience and we've got to get this figured out right now. Where temperance typically wants time, it wants patience. It's here to blend things, to smooth things, to sand things, right? And it's a hand sanded. It's not a sander blaster that's actually going to blast a hole through your floor if you if you put it on too high or whatever. It's like a gentleness. Temperance brings a gentleness, and there might be a lack of gentleness. And because we're getting this, you're good enough, and the feeling I got, I think there might be a lack of gentleness with your own self and with your own path and with your own growth and coming to understand stuff. Because, I mean, you've got these twos here. You're just starting to understand things in your life, and you may be feeling impatient or frustrated with yourself. In your environment, you have 4 of materials. So there's something here that really fascinates you, really has your attention. You really love it. The 4s have a sense of overindulgence. So the 4 of materials is typically going to be really being obsessive with something, not obsessed. Like, we don't have the devil card here. Let me make sure we don't have the devil card here. We do not have the devil card here. So not being like that level of obsessed, but being madly in love with an idea, a concept. There's something in your environment that's taking your focus, requiring your focus, demanding your focus. You might be trying to juggle that with things that you really would prefer to be doing, things that inspire you more, but there's so much here in your physical world that's demanding focus from you and demanding that there could also be some sort of lusting, some sort of love here, but I'm really seeing that there's something here that's pulling your attention possibly away from what you want to do to more mundane and practical issues. But there is here she is. So she looks like she's possibly in love, a little bit of a focus. So there could be something in your environment. It could be pulling focus from what you're wanting to do. And with this lack of temperance, you could be for materials. No. You could be there could be someone communicating to you that they're otherwise occupied right now. That their focus is elsewhere right now. And that could be creating a sense of impatience and frustration for you in the situation. Because the four materials is going to have a little bit of a communication vibe where you're radioing it out. Like you're vibing, I'm really occupied with something. So it could be you receiving a vibe from something else that they're just otherwise occupied, otherwise engaged with some other aspect of their life, or it could be you, and your environment is being affected by your sort of pulsating at this level of like, I'm really fascinated with this thing. I'm really interested in this thing. So, because it's being communicated, not verbally, but energetically, this fascination and this obsession. And then in your current situation, you have the wheel, changing luck. This isn't your current, this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do something that changes the opportunities, open your own door to opportunity. Changing your luck. And now that can be done with mentality, with just being open to different experiences, open to infinite possibilities. I feel like that's where we need to be here. This changing of the luck can just be an openness to a lot of possibilities, a lot of ways that things can come in and come through, a lot of the different, and just, I think also you're accepting that there are just different phases to your life. There's just different times. There's a time for obsession. There's a time for rest. There's a time for all sorts of things. There's a time to communicate. Oh, we were talking about that at the beginning, right? Like there's a time for, a time to push yourself, and then a time to not push yourself, a time for rest. So I think that part of it is just allowing, and then here we have this impatience vibe. And with this wheel, I'm just getting like allowing for the different phases of your life. And I feel like you need to allow for whatever phase you're in right now. Stop fighting it, stop struggling it. If you want to rest. Because that's what I'm seeing. Like just, it's okay to let things take the time they're going to take. Just let them unfold, let them develop the way they want to develop. There's seasons, there's phases, there's times, and don't push yourself through this season. Don't push yourself through this phase. You want to get somewhere, you're feeling impatient, you're very obsessed with something, you're very interested in it, but just let it take the time it takes. Don't push yourself. Don't shove yourself into some sort of conclusion. Don't shove yourself into some sort of future determination. Don't shove yourself into certainty. That's what the wheel is, allowing the uncertainty that you're feeling in this phase in your life. Allow for the imbalance, allow for the uncertainty, being very gentle with yourself and allowing things to come very naturally in their phase. So accepting the phase that you're in, and allowing for the future to be uncertain, allowing yourself to not know for sure when you're going to get there, what's going to happen, just accepting the phase, and energetically too. What's the energy that you're in right now? You're good enough as is in whatever energy. There's a time for pushing and there's a time for resting. So allowing that, I feel like, is what this wheel is telling us, that you need to just allow the energy to move through you. Don't try to control it. Don't try to dictate it. Just be in the energy that you're in right now, because it changes. It passes. Just allow it to take the time it takes. Where you're going, Knight of Materials, communicating some sort of plan, patterns, some sort of, that's the pattern is being set. So of how you're going to interact with this thing, how you're going to deal with whatever issue we're talking about here. So a pattern is going to emerge, a long-term flow, a long-term understanding. And the Knights are talking about usually some sort of communication, some sort of talking about something. Well, here we have share your voice, right? So coming forward, but we want you set. We want you a little bit more set than where you want to be. You want to like emerge right now, but more needs to be learned, more needs to be explored. Allow this phase to be what it is. Don't try to rush it, because soon enough you're going to be able to communicate your dreams, your visions, your inspiration. You're going to be able to communicate it. You will. It will be coming out. You will be emerging from this cave as a leader. But right now I'm seeing just really let yourself be in the energy that you need to be in right now. It's a phase. It's a phase. Don't push it. Don't get impatient. Soon enough you will. It's coming. That's what conclusions are within reach. It's coming. Let it come at its own pace. Don't push. Don't shove. Don't prematurely rip the baby from the womb. You're going to get a half-cooked baby that may not be viable, right? So you're going to let it get all the way developed. I know you're eager, you're excited, but you got to let this baby percolate a little longer. Oh gosh, I love this one. The strength of you. Are you doubting your ability to heal or recover? There is nothing that has fundamentally damaged your spirit, your will, or your heart, no matter how broken those parts of you may feel at times. There have only ever been broken to heal stronger. They have not been broken beyond repair and never will be. So repairing and allowing yourself to be in whatever phase you're in, because it's not going to last. It's not permanent. You're not permanently here. Okay, so Taurus, I hope that was helpful for you. Thank you so much for your likes and your comments and your subscribes. Yes, hit that subscribe button, please. And I hope you have a wonderful week.